Hi, I'm Russ with Devoted Golfer TV. My fitting business is Fit2Score out of Carrollton, Texas, and I'm here with Ridge Meracle. And Ridge and I have done this before, so let me tell you a little bit about Ridge. North Texas or all of Texas?
I got North Texas, the Panhandle of Texas, and all of Oklahoma. So
Yeah.
a lot of territory to cover.
Yeah, a lot of time on the road.
Oh yeah, a lot of windshield time.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about the latest product launch, the JPX
925 Hot Metals. This
925.
This
Yeah.
is one of the.
Okay.
This has been a big project for Mizuno over the last couple years, and you're going to see as we get a little bit into this, you're going to notice that there's a lot of differences in this model versus some of the previous models. I kind of summed it up right here. You got three models, 3 levels of performance with one technology package. So this new technology package that you're going to see across the Mizuno JPX line is going to be going across the entire hot metal line. And these are some very drastic changes that we've made that the consumers are going to see a huge difference in their fittings and performance overall.
Yeah, so I watched one of the internal videos, and it talked about levers, right? That we pulled 3 levers this time, and it wasn't exactly clear to me that all of the levers applied to all of the heads. But as I watched it for a while, it kind of dawned on me that, yeah, so this is significantly different. I mean, I have had a great time with the MPs.
Yeah.
You know, MP 245.
Oh yeah, the 245s, 241s, the 243s, and those are all going to stay in line going into this year. What's really going to be changing that you will see is going to be the JPX line. And for a lot of people, they still think of Mizuno as an MP, that Mizuno Pro, better player iron. But reality is JPX Hot Metal's become by and far our best-selling iron. And we talk about levers. You were talking about us pulling levers in the R&D world. We have been, for the last 8 years of the Hot Metal project, performing with a one-piece chromoly iron. And that's very hard to do, is to get performance out of a one-piece cast iron. So for the first time ever, you're going to see throughout this product line is the introduction of tungsten into the sole of this golf club to get a higher launch and higher ball flight, and a brand new face pattern called the contour ellipse face. Gives us the ability to make that face a little bit thinner and then increase the COR across the entire face. So
is that, there was some discussion about nickel metal hydride?
you know, there was a couple changes over the last model of adding the nickel into the chromoly, just to be able to go even thinner on the face and give us a little bit better feel. But now with the new casting materials that we're using in this contour ellipse face, we can go even thinner. So the new hot metal is 31% thinner than its predecessor was in the 923.
Okay.
So it's a very, very big difference.
And so what does that bring to the party?
So what that's bring to the party is it's going to bring us a little bit faster ball speeds. And we talked about it a little bit before, COR. COR is the new catchphrase and the new tag word everyone's trying to chase in irons. It's how do I increase the COR across the entire face? You know, us as manufacturers, we've really gone to the limits on what we can do COR in a certain area. So all of us have gotten to the point where the center strike on a COR is maxed out. But if I can get closer...
When you say maxed out, there's USGA regulations about iron?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've gotten to a point now in technology where it's like a driver. We can't get to a certain limit on the COR, and COR stands coefficient of restitution. So there is a limit.
That's the trampoline.
Correct. It's the trampoline effect.
Yeah.
And there is a limit that the USGA and RNA have set for us as manufacturers, and almost all of us have gotten to that limit right on a center strike.
Yeah.
But now it's...
I remember a few years ago when the hot face first showed up, the real issue was if you center struck, you might go over the green.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so that was a real problem with the first generation of this stuff, is that, you know, that sweet spot was explosive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now it's how do we get that explosivity across the entire face, because once you get that explosivity off the entire face, that creates more consistency, which is going to create better shots, even if maybe it wasn't as well struck as the ball could have been. It's all about getting consistent results.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, when I work with Mark, you know Mark.
Yeah.
You know, when he says, oh, that was a toe strike. We were doing some driver testing 2 weeks ago. You know, for him, a toe strike was like a quarter of an inch off center.
Sure.
Right? His strike pattern was maybe half the size of a dime.
Absolutely.
Right? A little bit up and down, you know, but right there, toe strike over here. Yeah.
It's definitely subject to interpretation what a toe strike is.
Yeah.
My toe strike is either missing the golf ball completely or barely catching the toe of it. But any time that we're designing a golf club like this, and you hear someone when we're talking about cast irons and COR, you're really going to hear how do we maximize that COR across the face. And you're even seeing it now creeping into the driver world.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing about these 10Ks and these max drivers, which we'll talk a little bit about drivers at another time, but you're seeing how that's now what everyone's working towards as manufacturers.
Right. Yeah, so let's proceed with this, because when I watched that video, there were a couple of things that really interested me.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So we'll first talk about the 925 Hot Metal. Hot Metal, this has been our bread and butter product for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is flip-flopped up in the upper echelons of total sales and market share overall in golf. This is our best-selling iron.
Oh, really?
By and far.
Yeah. I'm selling a lot of 245s.
Oh, yeah. But what makes 245 great is the ability for it to get in the air. Yes. And to create better launch parameters. And with the Hot Metal, with the introduction of that tungsten into the sole of this golf club, it's going to equate to higher launch conditions for this golf ball. As you know, the lower we can get that center of gravity, the higher the launch parameters are. And with tungsten being a little bit more dense than nickel chromoly, it just lowers that center of gravity a little bit more.
Okay.
Also including that contour lips face pattern that we showed, which I think the next slide over there is going to show what it looks like. Just gives us the ability to thin out that face, again, 31% more. When you have a 31% thinner face, you're going to get that more of a trampoline effect across the entire face.
Yeah. So this isn't for the marks of the world that don't miss the center of the face. This is for the rest of us.
This is for the guys like you and I who need all the help that we can get.
Yeah.
It's for the guys out there who just, maybe hit it off the toe more often than they'd like to. Maybe don't practice as much as they'd like to.
Practice?
Oh, I know.
Guys practice?
That's a shocking thing, isn't it?
Recreational golfers, it's like, well, how often do you practice? What?
I hit buckets before I go out to the course.
Yeah.
Does that count? But that's where one of the most important things that I want to reiterate about that is, even though we're going thinner, you can see it across the back here with the sound bar or the sound ribs that we've talked about before. That is really important in making sure that this club feels and sounds like what people expect a Mizuno to sound like. We have a tagline that people gave us that we've embraced of nothing feels like a Mizuno.
Right.
And that goes across our entire product line, whether we're talking about players irons, whether we're talking about wedges, putters, golf balls, even now JPX irons and irons that are mainly designed for forgiveness. Nothing feels like a Mizuno. So we made sure that this sounds and feels better than any Mizuno product that we've ever come out with, even in a thinner face.
So Ridge, one of the things that is important that people understand about the JPX product line is, yes, I love the MPs, but golf clubs just keep getting more and more expensive as the technology keeps going up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're looking at like $50 less a club?
Yes, sir. So these are going to be sitting at a manufacturer's advertised price of $149.99. And what makes Mizuno different than everyone else is we don't charge you for a shaft that you fit into. We have a multitude of shafts, steel or graphite, that fall under that price point. And that's one of the reasons we tell everyone that it's so important to make sure that you go get fit into the right shaft for you, because there's no difference in cost in Mizuno to make sure that we got the right shaft and right grip in your hands. And with lead times dropping as well as they are right now, there's no reason for you not to go the custom route.
Yeah. And talking about fitting, I'm gonna segue for a minute into the change that we have here about lie angles.
Yeah, we are introducing, as some of y'all have seen, as you've kind of seen, we've been introducing a new fitting system into the marketplace over the last couple months. This isn't the only thing that's going to be coming in your cart. There's a couple more pieces that we'll be adding as we get into the spring.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to share that with you when we get to that point. But with this new shaft construction is going to do is, one, it gives us the ability now to have less heads in the cart because we can go standard 2 degrees or 1 degree up, 1 degree flat. So we have 2 degrees of adjustability. But something that I think is a great idea for us too is when you put this club on, you can actually see that it still looks like a golf club. You know, you still have the ferrule, you still have the same length of the club neck. This looks just like a golf club, ferrule and all, with a fitting head. And I think that that's really important, that you're going to be looking down at the same club that's going to be coming out of the box.
So these are all the standards, but you have one unusual head in there that I don't see laying out here on the table. And so this is standard or 2 up.
Correct.
And what's that other head?
You have a 1 up, 1 flat. So when you look...
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have your...
So you can go 1 degree up from standard or 1 degree down from
Correct.
standard.
Yes, sir. So you have 2 degrees either way.
Yeah. So when you get the short guy that's going to play him out there and he's going to have to be flat, right? We have a head that he can fit into.
Absolutely. And then on top of that too, you know, even as a lefty, if you look on the bottom right here, this is going to be a left-handed available shaft as well. So we're all going to have left-handed heads for the JPX Hot Metal family for that lefty golfer.
Yeah, great. Yeah. You know, I get them.
We all do.
And fortunately, most of them say to me, I'm a lefty. I say, okay.
At least, yeah, exactly. You know, it's getting easier and easier now to have the components for it, and manufacturers are making it easier to get left-handed product into other people's hands.
So the product line shrunk just a little bit, but there were more lefties.
A little bit. You're seeing more lefties being added into it. There's another product line in here that's going to be a left-handed option as well. And then there's a couple other things that we'll talk about in the spring that I think the lefty golfer is really going to enjoy.
Okay. So what are we looking at? Hot Metal Pro.
Hot Metal Pro.
Which has always been my favorite in this product line because on the Pro, and I haven't looked at these closely yet, the sole width is a little thinner.
It's a little bit. When we first launched the 900 Hot Metal series, we got a lot of feedback from people about how they loved the performance, but they wanted something just a little less offset, maybe a shorter blade length, slightly thinner club head. And this is where the Hot Metal Pro idea and concept came from. So it's the same technology pattern or technology that we have in the Hot Metal. So the tungsten in the sole, the contour lips faced, the improved sound ribs and sound bar, just in a slimmer profile with a slightly less offset. Same lofts, but if you're looking for something, maybe you're transitioning away from a player's iron into something a little bit more forgiving, this is going to be something that's more aesthetically pleasing for you and something that's going to be slightly a little bit more workable. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you talk about head size, I think we'll get into that as we see some of the others.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple times now you've mentioned soundbar.
Yeah.
And so I had to insert this slide into the mix here. And I was stunned when I saw this in the design.
Absolutely. Sound and feel go hand in hand, and they're very important when people are determining golf clubs. You saw it, if you ever watch any of our videos online, David Llewellyn, who's our head product designer at Mizuno, always talks about sound equates to feel. And feel and sound go hand in hand, which they do. And the beauty of sound and vibration is you can quantify them. You can measure that. So over the last few years, Mizuno, we've been doing something called our harmonic impact testing. So we've been testing vibration frequencies and sound waves on all of our golf clubs to make sure that they're more aesthetically pleasing to what every golfer is looking for. And we talked about this earlier with the Hot Metal line, that contour lips face. We went 31% thinner on the face. But when you're thinning something out, or any time you're making a product at Mizuno, we understand that nothing feels like a Mizuno. That was a tagline that people gave us that we've really embraced and become our own. But that goes across our entire product line. It's not just Mizuno Pro Irons. That's your golf ball. That's your driver. That's your wedge. That's the JPX Hot Metal. We have to make sure that the sound and feel of a golf club is unparalleled in the rest of the market to make Mizuno stand out.
So this is really unique.
It is.
I've never seen anything like it before or anybody even talk about it. What do you know about the origin of this concept, or just explain the concept?
Yeah, it's just creating more rigidity to the overall frame. And just finding different places that you can put material to dampen the sound or increase the sound. It just depends on what exactly the engineers are doing. The sound rib technology has been something Mizuno's been using for the past couple of cycles. If you look at your old 923s or even 921s, you might be able to see them poking in there. But really, as we get more of our generation, just as we progress through the generation and project of JPX, we've been able to refine these even more and just find more ways to create better feel in an iron category that most people don't expect feel from.
Now, you say that this technology has been in some of the other clubs.
Yeah.
You've never talked about it before.
It's just because it's a very tough concept to quantify. And if I'm being honest, the whole how those work is something that's definitely not a strength of mine. I just know that we have been using the soundbar technology over the last couple of generations, and every year we find better ways to improve on it and to grow on that and to make our golf clubs, again, feel better than any other club on the market.
Yeah. So my guess would be if you've been doing this for a couple of years, other people have shaved your clubs and they know that it's there.
I'm sure
so
people know that
it's no longer an R&D secret.
It's definitely not an R&D secret. It's people know Mizuno's been doing things for decades to make things feel better, sound better. That's why we do grain flow forged irons, grain flow forged HD irons, why we use 1025 in Mizuno Pro. No one understands sound and feel like Mizuno does. So there's a couple different things that you'll see in a product line why are they reinforcing the top of the club to make it sound better? How's that make sense? But you also got to understand that's Mizuno. Mizuno has been the pioneer of sound and feel in the golf world.
Yep. And sound is huge.
It's so important, and it's getting more and more important as clubs get better and as people start to improve feel across the board. It's becoming one of the most important things that people tell me during fittings.
Yeah. I've done enough fittings that I can pretty much tell you without looking at the radar gun where you hit the face because I can hear it.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time. I'll be fidgeting with a shaft or something, and I'll literally go, "Oh, great shot!" And they go, "How do you know?" You can hear it. Yeah. You can hear exactly where you hit on the club face.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things with Hot Metal Pro, though, like I talked about earlier, the loft on these golf clubs are exactly the same as the Hot Metals, just slightly less offset. If you have noticed, we did go up 0.5 degree on our stock lie angles. So now our stock lie angles at 62, no longer 61.5. That just comes from looking at how we do our testing and what feedback we're getting, and just more people are now going more upright on their clubs overall.
Yeah, well, if you've been TPI trained like I am, you know how to see a guy's braking posture, whether he's braking posture. Whoops.
It's all good.
Yeah, whether he's braking posture low body or whether he's braking posture high body.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, you get it. And, whenever you brake posture, guess what? Your hands are coming in upright.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And my hands are pretty much out of control most of my life. So my wife is always watching me to see when I'm going to tip over the wine glass in front of me.
That's one of the reasons why even to this day when I go into a really expensive store, remember when your mom would tell you to put your hands in your pockets, don't leave, take them out? I still do that to this day because I knock everything down.
Yeah. Well, I didn't last night. Somebody else did.
There you go. So that's a big win.
That was a good thing. Okay, so
one more thing.
So you strengthened?
Go ahead.
What did you do to the?
We just adjusted the lie angle by 0.5 degree.
Okay.
Nothing's changed on the lofts. The lofts are still the same.
So you went up a little bit.
We just went a little bit more upright. Yeah. And that was just from consumer feedback.
Yeah.
Again, left-handed model available. You'll have a left-handed model in your fitting card as well. And a new addition to the line as well, stock. You have the MMT graphite shaft at no upcharge. So we talked about earlier, $150 per club is the cost on these, but you can get an MMT graphite, which is one of the most popular graphite shafts in the market, at no additional charge.
I'll have to spend more time looking at that.
It's a very, very popular shaft. It's been a shaft that we've done very, very successful with.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is one more line of the new JPX family that we're going to be adding, and it's going to be the HL. HL has been a humongous addition over the last couple of years for us, especially in the previous model, because we're seeing more and more in this market that people are needing more height. I'm sure you see it in fittings.
Yeah.
People just don't have the shaft lean, attack angle, club head speed to just get the optimal launch conditions with some of these new 7 irons that are less than 27 degrees.
Yeah, when you decrease loft, everybody thinks that's going to give you distance. What I say is, when those lofts come out of the factory, because you've got hotter faces when you get to the 6 iron, maybe even the 7 iron, and we know that a hot face launches the ball high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're playing hot-faced irons in your long irons, don't think that you know better than the shaft engineer knows that lined up the lofts.
Yeah, it's
right, because you can't take these highly technical iron heads and bend them because you think that they will go longer if you de-loft them.
Yeah, it's not how it works. It's like an algebra equation. There's some variables, if you make them bigger, the equation is not going to come out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell everyone, go get fit, go talk to somebody who this is their profession, is to make sure that you're in the right equipment, because you will be surprised at the results that people can get for you. It can be better distance, it could be more control, and who knows how many strokes I can take off your game.
Yeah. I haven't been paying attention to the slides. Have we moved? Oh, we're on high launch.
No, we're just on high launch a little bit. So we went over just having a higher launching golf club and how important that is. And this is a really good visual to show us why and how we're doing it. Having that high launch, the weight lower in that golf club. We said it earlier. The lower the center of gravity in that golf club, the higher the ball is going to go. So putting more mass deeper in the sole, making the sole of this golf club a little bit wider as well, so that we could put more mass down there. We added a little bit more offset versus the hot metal, so you can kind of see they progressively get more offset from HL hot metal to pro.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
and that was also a function of club head length, right?
Correct.
As the club heads get longer, you bring the CG down.
We've really focused on making this golf club look more aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
You are going to notice in the transition it's cleaned up a little bit more from hosel to golf club. It's a little bit more rounded, doesn't look as long as the previous model. It really does look the part, and we've really increased not only the performance of this golf club, but the aesthetics that this club had addressed as well.
Yeah.
Because looks do matter in golf.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. So, so when I was looking at the length of the club head and the offset, what I find is when the club heads get longer, people have a harder time getting them square because, the mass is,
Makes sense,
the center of gravity is moved away from the hosel to some degree, right? And so if you're going to start increasing the length of the club head, you got to give the guy a little more time to get it closed.
Sure.
And so that's where you have this relationship between length of head and offset.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
It's like the R&D engineers know what they're talking about when they design these golf clubs.
Yeah. And we go back to the point where I say to guys, don't think that you can outthink the engineers and make the ball go further by de-lofting your clubs.
It's not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
In fact, for a lot of people, it could be the opposite way.
Right.
And again, that's why I keep saying, go get fit.
Yeah,
go see somebody and talk to them about what's going to be the best for my game.
So I've had friends over the last year. When did the high launch come out? 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've had friends say, this is the hottest club in my fitting kit because there's a relationship between loft and how long the ball stays in the air.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have the ball off the ground long enough, even though you may be hitting it with more club head speed and the ball may launch with more ball speed, it's going to hit the ground before it runs out of energy.
It is, and that's one of the reasons why people, when they transition into an HL, when they maybe been playing something that's a little bit more stronger lofted, is they notice not only is the ball going higher, the ball's stopping. And now they're not playing croquet on Saturday afternoon. Yeah. They're seeing the ball check. Yeah. And I think that's where people
angle of descent.
Exactly. And I think that's where people really start to notice that difference. Is not only is the ball going higher, but that shot that you put right next to the pin is staying next to the pin instead of rolling 25 feet away from the pin. Now we got a tougher birdie putt than we might deserve.
Or you might have to plan on hitting the fringe in the front of the green to slow the ball down.
And maybe stop it.
Yeah.
And one of the things, too, if you look at this set, so I got the specs pulled up here. We went a little bit weaker on the 7, so it's 2 degrees weaker. Sorry, it's 31 degrees, so it's 3 degrees weaker. And then we also have this combo set available in these. Let me go to the next slide. The JPX Fli-Hi. So the JPX Fli-Hi, this is a direct long iron replacement. Mm-hmm. And I really like to emphasize direct long iron replacement because we're not trying to make a hybrid. It's not supposed to go further. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to go higher. And if we can get the ball to go higher.
So you push the center of gravity back because you make the club head deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we put the same exact shaft that you're putting in your irons already. And this is going to be a club. And the beauty part about this golf club is it's the same price. As the rest of the JPX. So if you're getting fit, again, why you should go see a fitter, they could tell you, hey, pro, we think maybe go to a 6 Fli-Hi so that we can actually stop it on the green with your 6 iron, maybe throw a 5 iron in there, and let's see what it does to your game. I can tell you that my dad's put one of those in his bag, and I'm a little worried now that he might actually beat me on the annual golf tournament. So it's a really good club if you're just looking to create a longer distance club or a longer club in the bag that's going to create more stopping power.
Yeah, I've got one of my friends that half of his bag now are this style club.
Oh,
he's pulling the irons out and he's putting these in. He goes, I just hit them better.
You're seeing more people put head covers in their bags. It used to be a negative stereotype, but I mean, when you're beating people with it, what can you say?
Yeah.
So JPX Fli-Hi is going to come in the 19 and 22 in a lefty. So the lefties will have that option in the longer ones, and then it's going to go 22, 25, 28 in the JPX and right-handed only. So we're going to be able to put these in.
So which club do you see the 28 replacing?
28 is going to probably replace in the 7 or 6. Just depends on the person's set. So that 7 iron will sit on the HLs at 31. For the hot metals, it'll sit at 28. So it just depends on what club we're talking.
I get it. So you're up at that end of the bag where coefficient of restitution and trampoline off the face is going to be all in the Fli-His.
Absolutely.
And then you get to your more traditional style heads where the loft just keeps you from trampolining the ball. Anyhow.
Yeah. And it just shows you, I love this whole product line because what you can see in this, from the top of the bag of the Fli-His all the way to the bottom with these wedges, you can have a custom set, split combo set like the pros do, even at the higher handicap level. Mm-hmm. Everyone can get fit to what fits their bag, and everyone has a unique fitting. I always use the term, no one's stock standard. No one goes into a golf shop, can buy any set of clubs off the rack, and that's their set. Right. Everyone has a little quirk to their game. Yeah. And that's why it's so important for people to come see us so that we can find those little quirks and maybe shave off a stroke here or there. Maybe find you 5 extra yards. Mm-hmm. Who knows what you're going to find? But that's one of the reasons it's so important when you see all this information to go have someone who can really direct you into the right spot.
Mm-hmm. Are we out of... the ladies.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got one more we got to figure out, and it's the JPX-Q. Mm-hmm. This has been a product line you've seen. Mizuno has slowly started dipping their toe more into the ladies market. And this is the JPX brand. We've done 4 years of research on the hot metal chromoly technology and figured out that we could make a technology package that specifically fits the women market really well. It's going to be a 6-through sand wedge set, come with a M Fusion really lightweight shaft. Mm-hmm. And then one of my favorite grips in the market, Iomic. I don't know if you've ever used Iomic grips before. Incredibly tacky, very durable grip, high quality grip. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be getting an Iomic lady size grip in gray as well. That's going to fit the set.
Great. Well, Ridge, thank you. And for those of you that are watching us ramble on, we're going to get out on the range shortly.
Finally.
And we're going to work on the drivers, which we haven't reviewed yet.
No.
And then we're going to also do a demo of the fitting stick.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do so we're going to go through, do a thing on drivers, show people what numbers do differently versus different heads, and really dive into it versus just hearing you and I yap about it. And then we'll also go over the new fitting system once we fully unveil everything as we get through towards the PGA show. So they should be expecting that one probably around March.
Okay. Well, thanks for spending your time with us, if you're still with us. So, Ridge, we'll see you shortly out on the range.
I appreciate it, Russ.
Thanks for watching.